Okay, and we're back to the elite specializations that are releasing in Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity, which is the Antiquary, Ritualist, and Paragon. Now, these are specializations, they are not classes. So, I don't know who's getting what. Let's find out. But yeah. Again, they teased the Ritualist and the Paragon. For those of you unaware, the Ritualist and the Paragon were actual classes that you could play in Guild Wars 1. And they were very powerful classes. So much so that the Paragon created a build called Imba, which basically meant they were able to keep shouts up near infinitely, which means they are buffing their party members constantly. And one of the few bugs that happened was, so they had a passive ability for Paragons only called Leadership. So Leadership would work better the more allies you had around you. So there was a limit of party of 8. 8 was the maximum you could have. But then what ended up happening was even miniatures, which you guys have now in game, also counted as allies. So their fucking leadership abilities would proc off minis as well. So if you had 8 people and 8 fucking miniatures, that's 16 creatures giving you leadership procs. So it made you completely unstoppable. Like no one could kill you. Like dungeons were a cakewalk. UW, Urgoz, the Deep, fucking Domain of Anguish, Foundry of Woe. All that stuff was easy with a Paragon. So they had to nerf that very quickly. And I'm glad that they did. Because for those people who didn't have access to Nightfall, or just weren't very good at the game, they could not get their stuff, and it just felt bad. So, and it pigeonholed everybody into playing a Paragon, which is not the best class to play as a solo runner. Either way, but now there are specializations now. And the Ritualist, oh my god, the Ritualist was really powerful. Super powerful, like protection buffs like Shelter. And they also had stuff like Vengeful was Kanai, and they could drop these urns, which would do a metric ton of damage. And would just, like, you couldn't do Domain of Anguish without a Ritualist. They were the main damage dealing source. But all that to say, let's see what they have done for this one. Here we go.
Rich with history, Tyria is filled with artifacts and remnants of the past, all ripe for the picking. A collector of sorts, the Antiquary has a certain set of skills to give them the upper hand, and maybe make a profit. Send a script to pilfer an opponent. Stealing random artifacts from your enemy can be a valuable skill.
So this is a thief, I'm guessing? Because thieves have that steal ability. So in this case, you're stealing from an enemy, so yeah, sure.
Will you rock out to confuse your opponent? Will you leap up and bring the hammer down? Or let a dancer taunt your enemies? Whatever artifacts you manage to steal or borrow, a good antiquary will always find a good use for their plunder. Long practiced in Kantha, ritualists summon forth spirits from the mists, granting boons and sowing chaos on the battlefield. Shroud yourself with the ritual knowledge of the past. Summon spirits to aid you in battle. Mark an enemy, seal their fate.
Oh, so this is the Necromancer specialization. Okay.
The spirit of anguish will send volley after volley to deal increased damage to them. Daze your enemies with the spirit of wanderlust as it slams the ground, knocking your enemies to the ground. And as your allies fight beside you, grant them boons and heal their wounds with the spirit of preservation. Summon and channel otherworldly entities. As a ritualist, you will gain a deeper understanding for the spirits of Tyria. Their chants echo across the sands of Alona, reaching friend and foe alike. The Paragons are pillars of protection, channeling their adrenaline to bolster their allies and demoralize their enemies.
So this is warriors.
Let your voice ring out as you support and bolster your allies around you. Protect them with a barrier to help them defend against oncoming attacks, absorbing damage meant for allies for a short time. Chant of freedom to break, stun, and give your allies a speed bonus. As a Paragon, you seek to protect your allies and motivate them to break through their limitations, to fight onward. Be the voice that stirs inspiration as it echoes across the desert sands.
Okay. So thief, necromancer, and warrior. Really hoping the Paragon Ritualists will become their own class. Would have been nice to have more classes, honestly. You're a bit more variety to play, because when you have individual classes, it allows for more skill expression. As a ritualist, like again, if you look at the old classes from Guild Wars 1, you had the elementalist, the ranger, the warrior, the necromancer, the monk, the thief, sorry, the assassin, sorry. Oh my god. Wait, okay, base classes first. Ranger, monk, elementalist, mesmer, warrior, and necromancer. Then we got the dervish and the paragons. Then the assassins and the ritualists. So in total, 10 classes was what they had. And they each had their own identity. And within their classes, they had multiple ways to play them. Like elementalist, you could focus on nuking shit. And one of the cool things of Guild Wars 1 is the fact that you can mix professions. So you can be a monk mesmer or a monk ranger or whatever it was. Like you don't get for example, only rangers get expertise, but they don't get divine favor, which monks have, and stuff like that. So every class had their own unique thing. But then you could use a secondary class to augment it and make it even better. So I feel that was a missed opportunity for this game. I mean, they're using specializations as a way to do that, but they don't allow you to dip into other classes, which I think is a bit of a unfortunate situation. Because if you look at some of the builds that were made in Guild Wars 1, you should definitely look up some of those builds. They were absolutely batshit insane. Like, for example, the Nuker Elementalist. You get Meteor Storm, you use Echo, Arcane Echo, and you could fire down 3 Meteor Storms while your tank is like a tank or Paragon, keeping everyone grouped up and just nuke motherfuckers down. Fucking using Discord, which was a Necromancer ultimate ability, elite skill. Just spam the fuck out of that and kill enemies like that. With your Mesmer spreading out conditions on everybody, and then having either your party members or your heroes who you could recruit and have them just go Discord spam and kill everything in seconds. Ritualist dropping Vengeful Kunai and just breaking shit. It was absolutely insane. There was a lot of skill expression, a lot of build variety, a lot of fun that could be had. And it's purely by just using your skills. Your ability scores, you could put wherever you want them to, whatever makes sense for the best thing you want to do. But it's your ability to make those ability checks, like make sure you hit the correct ability at the correct time, and make sure upkeep is good. All those things is what made it so fun to play, right? Which I think they've lost in Guild Wars 2. So there's always been like a bit of a sore point for me as a Guild Wars 1 quote-unquote veteran. That variety is lacking. But whatever. I mean, again, you have to evolve and change how things play. So I completely understand why they chose to go with this route. But at the same time, I still wish the Ritualists and the Paragon were their own classes. So they could have their own skill expression and have multiple different ways of doing things. You can be a support Ritualist. You can be an offensive Ritualist. You can be a crowd control Ritualist. Paragon was the same thing, offensive, but I mean, the Paragon was made to be a support class. So, it's alright, not bad, but let's just go through it again. So,
Antiquary has a certain set of skills to give them the upper hand, and maybe make a profit. Send a script to pilfer an opponent. Stealing random artifacts from your enemy can be a valuable skill. Will you rock out to confuse your opponent?
Again, it's weird. This feels a lot like the Troubadour, but not exactly. Why is this an artifact? Why is this bass guitar? Is that a bass guitar? Looks like a bass guitar. How many strings is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 strings. Yeah, so bass guitar.
To confuse your opponent. Will you leap up and bring the hammer down?
What
Or
hammer? What hammer? Where is this? Is this hammer stolen? Is it one of the artifacts that you pick up? Can you control what artifacts you get, or is this randomized and you just do shit?
Dancer taunt your enemies. Whatever artifacts you...
I mean, it's good to have a taunt. Actually, does any class have a taunt right now? No, right? There is no taunt ability. That could be pretty good, actually. Being able to taunt your opponents. It seems to be that you're using your rifle for this one.
manage to steal or borrow, a good antiquary will always find a good use for their plunder. Long practiced in Cantha, ritualists summon forth spirits from the mists, granting boons and sowing chaos on the battlefield. Shroud yourself with the ritual knowledge of the past. Summon spirits to aid you in battle. Mark an enemy, seal their fate. The spirit of anguish will send volley after volley to deal increased damage to them.
So one of the things that used to happen in Guild Wars 1 is, so the spirit of anguish was always there. And it was a fantastic ability. But the problem was with those spirits, every time they used their abilities, they would lose health, right? But then so what you would do is you would normally throw up your spirits of anguish, and then you drop a spirit of shelter on top of that. So the shelter would stop your spirits from dying. So every time they're supposed to every time they throw their ability, like that projectile or whatever it was, it would do damage to the spirit. But in this case, it gives it to the spirit of shelter. Now, with enough cooldowns or echoes or whatever you want to use, you could technically get shelter back up again to basically keep your spirits of anguish up infinitely. But of course, you had to maintain your resources very, very carefully. So there was a bit more skill expression to that. But just constantly having your shelter up and just these things just bombing people. And it was fantastic to play. A lot of fun. It was a very slow play style. So it had it set up. So you would set up your spirits, then you would go and aggro something, and then you run back to your spirits, and they would just eviscerate shit. So they're going for a similar feel for this, but
raise your enemies with the spirit of wanderlust as it slams the ground, knocking your enemies to the ground. And as your allies fight beside you,
like how often does that thing slam? What's the cooldown on that? What is the rotation on that? Is it a 2-second cooldown, 3-second cooldown? But see, this is a fantastic way to keep up a consistent form of CC. I think a lot of classes have had issues with CC, even the Necromancer especially. I don't think they have very good CC apart from maybe Fear, but they don't have a lot of stuns. They don't have a lot of I don't know, confusions or whatever it is, or interrupts. That was more a Mesmer thing. But in Guild Wars 1, every class had a way to stop somebody from doing something, a way to interrupt them, which is lacking in this game. So this allows for a little bit more, what do you call it? Power control and denial of stuff. But the fact that you can get a consistent form of CC going out constantly, I think is they're spirits. So I'm assuming they have the lifespan. And again, we have to test this out when it comes out, when these things are open for beta, so we can look at them and see how they function, what the cooldowns are, what the numbers are, how much damage they do, all this stuff.
Grant them boons and heal their wounds with the spirit of preservation. Summon and channel otherworldly entities. As a ritualist, you will gain a deeper understanding for the spirits of Tyria.
I can see this becoming very oppressive. This might make Necros go up even further, potentially.
Their chants echo across the sands of Alona, reaching friend and foe alike. The Paragons are pillars of protection, channeling their adrenaline.
My god, seeing the Sunspear armor after so long, it's so jarring.
To bolster their allies and demoralize their enemies. Let your voice ring out as you support and bolster your allies around you. Protect them with a barrier to help them defend against oncoming attacks, absorbing damage meant for allies for a short time.
Yeah, so Paragons are going to become the new tanks. Actually, this would kind of screw over Guardians. Maybe. Again, it depends on what kind of buffs the Paragon gives you. Because, I mean, again, if you have Alacrity from somebody else, either Engineer or Mesmer or whatever it is, or a Revenant rather, you get enough Alacrity, you can then just constantly keep your shouts up. Maybe you have skills which will extend your shouts. So yeah, they might become the new tanks, like front line. Like they'll be up front in the fight and just healing everybody, or just supporting everybody behind them with all their shouts and chants. Again, also depends on how many people can be affected by the shouts. Because that's one thing, there was one good and bad thing about Guild Wars 1 is the fact that every time you step outside of a city, you are in an instance. So if people wanted to go with you, they had to go with you. You guys go into an instance, so then only those people are affected. So the Paragon could easily affect only those players. What they have done in this game is, because it's open world and there's no more instance situation unless it's a home instance or a mission instance. But the open world otherwise is everyone's available. Like 50 people can be around you at any given point in time. But all your boons, all the boon stuff, it's limited to a maximum, if I'm not mistaken, 5 people can get them at a time. So the idea here is you all group up, like 15, 20 of you, and 2 people are just constantly spamming out buffs to keep it up. And the Paragon's going to be very good for that, if it plays the way I hope it plays. But we'll see. Again, I'm not a big fan of the fact that it's on a warrior, but I get the theming. It's the yellow and reds, which is the warrior's like color identity, while Guardians are all about the blues. So I don't know, because the Guardians have a lot of, actually, technically speaking, even the warriors have a bunch of shouts as well, but so do the Guardians. And the Guardian shouts are a bit more, well, Guardian-esque. They protect and save others, while your warrior chants are a bit more offense-based. So I guess they're balancing that out. You have your offensive shouts from the warrior base class, and then the Paragon gets to put on top of that more for protection, and it's gonna be good.
Chant of freedom to break, stun, and give your allies a speed bonus. As a Paragon, you seek to protect your allies and motivate them to break through their limitations, to fight onward. Be the voice that stirs inspiration as it echoes across the desert sands.
Yeah, you're gonna be running Harrier sets, I guess, with the Paragon, so you can maintain those buffs for longer. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I'm okay. Again, like I keep rambling on. I just wish that the Ritualist and Paragon would become classes of their own. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, well, those are the new specializations they've added. So thief, necromancer, and warrior. So we've had the mesmer, the ranger, the guardian, the thief, the necro, the warrior. Now we've got the revenant, elementalist, and engineer left, I believe. That's it, right? Yeah. We'll see what they come up with for those. Should be interesting. We already got a preview of what the elementalist one is. You have a fiery pet, a fiery wolf, or fox, whatever, that joins you. Well, again, we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. If you like the video, hit the like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys all next time. So from me to you guys, till then, peace out.